Hi, my name is Maddie. I am a first-year DJ. My show is Mehxzieverse Radio, and these are my 5 picks from my physical media collection. The first one I have up, Utopia by Beabadoobie. One of my favorite artists who I've been listening to for a very long time. I actually had the opportunity of seeing her live back in September of, I think it was 2024. But this album in particular is my favorite by her. It has a very specific vibe to it. It feels very like real and raw in a way. You know, you have more upbeat moments like Talk, Sunny Day, but you also have the more like introspective ones like Ripples and Broken CD and Fairy Song. And I actually see a little bit of similarities in her as well with like Mehxzieverse and Utopia. The concept of having, you know, your own like little personal universe and then making that into like a musical project, I think is really cool. I actually ordered this. I usually try to find CDs like on their own organically. It was really hard for me to find stuff from her in record stores, so I decided to just cave and order it, but I don't regret doing that at all. I love the packaging. A lot of newer artists nowadays are doing the more sustainable packaging with the paper. Allows for like picture sleeves. She still has the album booklet in it where it has like the lyrics. Really nice addition to my collection, and I'm really glad I got to have an artist that means so much to me in my collection. I also have her other album, This Is How Tomorrow Moves. I would definitely recommend for any like indie pop, indie rock listeners. My next album is more of an EP, Fancy That by Pink Pantheress. This actually just came out last year. It was one of my favorite releases of last year. I've been playing more pop on my show than I expected to because I don't really talk about pop a lot, but I love this album and I think it's a really solid album in the pop world. We're seeing a lot of like early 2000s revival right now and a lot of flashbacks to that era. I feel like this is just a really good example of taking some of the aspects of that time and merging it with a more modern sound. You definitely can hear her own personal production on this album. She uses a lot of samples, a lot of basement jacks, for example. Just the other day I had like Girl Like Me from this album, and then Where's Your Head At by Basement Jacks, because that's an artist that she samples a lot. I really love like the sort of like kitschiness of it. I love how she like plays very heavily into like the British iconography. Even on like the CD, you can see the like Big Ben. Even on Stateside, where like making references to like not being American. You know, you can see the phone booth and the crown in the album cover. It's very like casual and cool at the same time to me. I think this is what really got me into her. It also got me into British pop acts in the early 2000s like Girls Aloud and The Saturdays. You're not someone who like says that they like pop music. I feel like you could really enjoy at least one song from this album because of just how creative it is. Next album I have up is Last Splash by The Breeders. The story behind this, I have been looking for this for a while, and I had asked the record store that I go to if they had it, and they said no, but we can order that for you. In my head I was just like, no, I have to find it on my own, I have to find it on my own. One day I went to this like punk flea market, and they had a CD booth, and sure enough it was there. I didn't want to order it, I was like, you know, I feel like I need to find this, and I did. I would say alternative music and rock music is definitely my favorite genre. This album in particular, I think is just so cool. Around like my freshman year of high school, I'm really getting into not just like rock and punk, but female fronted rock and punk. Once you get down that rabbit hole, you just don't stop. And so many cool female musicians who didn't get like a ton of radio play, but were still like very active in like their underground communities. And I feel like The Breeders is a little bit of an example of this. If you know one song by them, you probably know Cannonball, which is on this record. I feel like they just have this really cool mixture of like that grungy sound, but it's not like fully punk. They have their own genre and they have their own vibe. I really have always loved women in rock, but this album in particular, it was really cool. I would definitely recommend this for anyone who's into like female fronted rock, and also like Kim Deal. It's a really cool introduction to that genre. I think it's also like a very easy listen. Next album I have up is a track called Quest's Midnight Marauders. Absolute hip hop classic in my opinion. I love hip hop in general. Never really got deeply into it until I started listening to 90s hip hop, and then I just got completely changed. Just such a great album. The lyricism is amazing, beats are amazing, the mixing is amazing. I feel like this is a type of album where you can really just tell that they love what they're doing. They really just like take so much pride in it. I mean, it's just a vibe. If I'm ever like in the car with like people I don't know that well and I'm on aux, I'll always like pick 90s hip hop. It's like one of those albums. So many strong tracks. World Tour, Electric Relaxation, and this was also a gateway into like other rap artists like The Far Side, Gangstar, Q-Tip's solo work, and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't have much else to say about it, other than just that it's a vibe and I love it, because they're also like described as like jazz rap. But yeah, I love this album. The last album I have is probably no surprise to anyone who knows me. It's Amy Winehouse's Lioness Hidden Treasures. Anyone who has listened to my show before knows that Amy Winehouse is my favorite musician. She means a ton to me. This album in particular is very special because it contains songs that were released after her death. I think that she has a very sad story. She's the type of artist where, you know, if she was still alive today, you know that she would be making music. Very cool listen, but it's also a bit of a sad listen because, you know, these would already be released, you know, there would be so much more to come. A really great collection from a really amazing artist, just had offered so much already and still had so much more to offer. There's just like one particular Amy Winehouse quote where she says something along the lines of, "I would give it all up just to walk back down the street with no hassle." I feel like she's just like an example of that artist where, this isn't specific to Amy herself really, an artist where, like, you know, they just want to have fun and make music, share that to the world, and sometimes unfortunately fame catches up to you and it becomes something that can't be enjoyable anymore. Particularly sad with her story because of just how young she was and how passionate she was about it. Her voice and just like how she would just like open her mouth to sing in like live performances and it would look like she was talking, just like how natural it came out. An artist that I admire very much. This is the only Amy album that I don't have on vinyl, but I could never find this on vinyl, so I picked up the CD, but I don't mind having it on CD because it's transportable. A really cool record, even if you aren't a diehard fan. Some cool features, Tony Bennett and Nas, her cover of The Girl from Ipanema, more original songs that have like a really nice upbeat tone to them. There's a couple covers on here as well. Overall, a really strong track list, and it's very true to her. You can already tell that she's departing away from that like Back to Black and Frank sound and going to something completely new.